Thank you very much, Honourable Presiding Member, Honourable Minister of Agriculture, Mahindananda Alutgamage, my fellow Member of Parliament from Kandy District, was very combative in suggesting certain suggestions regarding this. But I also must say that I also regret that these days, and perhaps in the history of this country, if at all going by the number of effigies burned in the country, the highest number of effigies must be of the of the Honourable Minister of Agriculture, the current Minister of Agriculture.
That's why I know that.
All over the country, all the farmers are burning his effigies. It's very unfortunate. He is a fellow Member of Parliament, but that is the situation in which he is today with his current subject of Minister of Agriculture. Now, let me not go into this whole issue of chemical fertilizer and organic fertilizer, which has now become a serious talking point in the entire country. Now, putting that aside, now this issue, the suggestion that he made regarding the COPE report and the action to be taken by the Speaker, I must concur with him. Correct position, as the Honourable Lakshman Kirialla said, is that once a report at the COPE is presented to the House, it becomes a property of the House. It becomes incumbent on the Speaker to take action from there onwards, out of his own volition, as mentioned by the report. So, yes, it had been sent once earlier to take action in terms of whatever suggestions that have been made by the committee, either to the Bribery Commission or the Attorney General's Department or the Criminal Investigation Department. So it has to be pursued by the Speaker himself. So, therefore, I believe that suggestion will be looked into. Now, regarding this particular report, which is relating to the SLIIT campus, which incidentally comes within the electorate where you represent in Parliament, Honourable Presiding Member, this is a very interesting story because in all times material to this inquiry and investigation, twice I have been Minister in charge. Once in the year 2000-2001, I was the Minister in charge of Ministry of Internal and External Trade, under which this institution came. Then subsequently in late in 2019-2020, I became the Minister of Higher Education, during which period then Secretary of mine, Mr. Priyantha Mayadunne, who is currently the Secretary, the Minister of Justice, was my secretary, and he initiated this report to Cabinet regarding the abolition of the decision that had been taken previously to delist the SLIIT campus from the subject matters of the Minister of Higher Education. So, in all times material to this investigation, twice I have held office as minister, and therefore I need to discuss some of these matters because there have been some serious issues and lot of anomalies regarding the structure, functioning and the entire organization of this SLIIT campus. Now, the relationship between Mahapala Trust Fund and the SLIIT is being questioned here. The question by the current administration of the SLIIT, on the basis that the letters that have been sent to the COPE says that the SLIIT was never funded and established by the Mahapala Trust Fund. This is the position they are taking, that they are an independent institution and they have absolutely no connection except to say that the Mahapala Trust Fund is the lessor who had leased their property in which these buildings have been set up. Now, there are serious conflicts arising out of these statements. That is why the COPE report wants to present this matter to the House so that this can be looked into, because there are serious issues. Now, initially, they also say, now they are contesting this issue in several ways. One is that, now we have this Cabinet memorandum dated 1st April 1998 and establishing of a provisional company limited by guarantee on the 26th of March 1999. Now, it is the contention of the current administration that this Cabinet memorandum was submitted with the intention of setting up this campus as a part of the Moratuwa University. And subsequently, because the Finance Ministry observations was opposed to this setting up of that institution, and that there was no possibility to pay the, that it could rely on the consolidated fund to meet the recurrent costs, that it was not accepted. And that it was through the efforts of certain private individuals as as a separate project, they started it. This is their contention. Now, I'm only saying that it's their contention. And they are also contending that this was set up by the Board of Investment as the city campus of the SLIIT at the Bank of Ceylon building in Kolpiti, way back in 1999, and then it continued to function. Thereafter, the buildings were put up in the current Mala Bay premises. And that their condition, of course, is that they only got it as a lease from the Mahapala Trust Fund. And Mahapala Trust Fund, for all purposes throughout, has simply been the lessor of this property and not in any way involved with the institution. Now, this is a very, very contentious one because there are several. You have to examine the minutes of the Mahapala Trust Fund. There are several minutes that have been referred to by the current administration as well as in our report. So we have to look at why this conflict has arisen. And then subsequently, several times the agreements have been changed. In 2005, it had been changed. Subsequently, Cabinet took a decision in 2017 to delist the SLIT through the Gazette from the functions of the Ministry of Higher Education. And subsequent to that is where my former secretary, Mr. Mayadunne, sent a cabinet paper under my name to cabinet in the year 2019, which has, because there was a committee appointed, a four-member subcommittee of the cabinet was appointed to look into this matter, to see as to the truth behind the whole contention that was that has become a contentious issue now because of this report. So therefore, it is important for us to look at this because at all times material to this report, there has been several conflicting positions taken. Now even the setting up the guarantee company, it is a contention of the present administrators of this SLIIT. They say it's a guarantee company. The guarantee company cannot hold, it only has the subscription shares and there is no dividends paid, and therefore it's a not-for-profit institution. It is a fact that all over the world, important reputed universities, now for instance Ivy League universities like Harvard, Yale and Stanford, they are all set up as through a trust, a non-profit, not-for-profit institutions. So that's a good way to follow and to set it up. At the time this SLIIT campus was set up, these professionals, they say that there was only 200 graduates who were passing out of the university system in the information technology area. And now, it has now increased to almost 3,000 by the SLIIT alone. Almost half the number of IT graduates produced in this country. And therefore, this is a very important institution. So we need to look at the future administration and functions of this institution with a lot of responsibility. This conflict of interest as far as the ownership or the functioning and the organizational structure and whether it should come within the purview of the University Grants Commission and be considered as a state university or part of a state university as it has been suggested, or whether to allow it to continue as a non-state university supervised by the UGC, of course, regarding the degree awarding, yes, like the Kotalavala model, whether this is to be allowed to continue in that fashion. These are the issues that we need to resolve, because there are several allegations coming out as a result of the actual original documents being properly not being gone into. Now, I am told that originally, way back in 2019, matter was referred to the Attorney General. Now, the Attorney General was asked way back in 2019 to look into this and send a report. Now, I refer to page 21 of our report, where it says to forward all the documents connected with this matter to the Attorney General, seeking his opinion on the proposals of this memorandum. This memorandum was submitted in the Cabinet Memorandum dated 13th August 2018, and subsequent to that, 18th December 2019 to My ministry submitted a cabinet memorandum to re-gazette Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology under the subject Ministry of Higher Education, Technology and Innovations with immediate effect and seeking approval to appoint a controlling board securing the official representation of state institutions. After considering aforesaid memorandum, the cabinet had taken a decision on the 14th of January 2020 to appoint a 4-member committee to make recommendations to the cabinet within 3 weeks' time in that regard. But by this time, by March, Parliament was dissolved, then the cabinet also stood dissolved thereafter, and then we couldn't, that cabinet subcommittee couldn't submit a report. So the matter stands there. Only thereafter, COPE went into this matter and has now raised the issues concerning here. There is also another pertinent issue concerning whether the original board which consisted of the SLIIT Guarantee Company had a few professors from the Moratuwa University. And there was the ex-chairman of the Board of Investment, Mr. Thilan Wijayasinghe. And there was a few others which positions, according to the COPE report, is ex officio positions held on behalf of the institutions in which they held that office. But then these individuals, their contention is that they never subscribed to the memorandum as ex officio members of those institutions, but in their private capacity. And this is another matter that we had to go into and see whether in fact the articles of association. So we have to look into this position as to whether in fact we have to examine the articles of association and the memorandum of association of the guarantee company that was set up way back in 1999, whether in fact there is any reference to these individuals as far as the respective institutions, whether they represented those institutions in those in that particular guarantee company. This is another contention they are taking, because they have sent a letter through Julius and Creasy, their lawyers, to the COPE, refusing to participate. This is another issue. We have time and again various institutions. The other day, Litrogas and LAF's problem. They send a letter to the COPE saying that we are not answerable to you. We have no material interest. As the government doesn't have material interest in this, they don't provide funds. Therefore, we are an independent institution. We refuse to come and answer before the COPE. This contention they take, and they have even refused to the Auditor General's report, saying the Auditor General had no right to look into the audited accounts of their institution. Now, this Litrogas and LAF's gas issue also, the similar issue came up. So yes, therefore we have to carefully, I mean, if those institutions come before the COPE, they can, of course, rather than writing letters, they can come before and explain. So it will be we are not going to, you see, if they produce documents and justify their position, if they exonerate themselves before us, then there is no reason for us to find fault with them. Here they simply refuse, and they just simply send letters and take cover under the letters, or go before the Court of Appeal and file action, and then take some spurious standing order, stay orders, and then try to stall ours, because I don't think we can be stalled by court orders to go into these matters, and this has been held in previously, because the Parliament has absolute right to go into these matters, and therefore these matters will have to now, as Honourable Mahindananda Aluthgamage suggested, Honourable Lakshman Kiriella suggested, now this is the property of the House. It is up to the Speaker to see that this matter is referred to the relevant institutions for further inquiry and to take a final decision. Thank you.